I mean, what should the repercussions be? You tell me. I take 30 days off. How does that hurt me?
Pause for a sec.
I mean, I told you guys.
This is exactly what I was trying to avoid. He shouldn't be the one punishing himself. He shouldn't be the one answering the question on what the punishment should be, in my opinion. That should be to someone who is in a position to make these calls. You don't ask someone who committed the quote-unquote crime what they think the punishment should be. That's not how it works. That's not how it's ever worked in any walk of life.
As Dana White finally met the media, Ariel Helwani broke it down.
Me leaving hurts the company, hurts my employees, hurts the fighters. Doesn't hurt me. I could have left in 2016. You know what I mean? I don't know. What's the do I need
Disagree with that
to
statement.
reflect? No, I don't need to reflect. The next morning when
Sorry, I disagree with that statement. Just, that's not my personal feelings, so I disagree with that statement. I think that the ship will sail very, very nicely without him at this point, and you can make the argument, you can make the case that he's more of a deterrent at this point than not.
This is a sound point because after Dana White was caught slapping his wife on New Year's Eve in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, he has brought nothing but negative publicity to himself. He has brought nothing but negative publicity to the Ultimate Fighting Championship. And he has brought nothing but negative publicity to Endeavor, ESPN, and all those in business with him.
And what is my punishment? Here's my punishment. I got to walk around for however long I live. Is it 10.4 years or is it another 25 years? And I gotta, this is how I'm labeled now. My other punishment is that, I'm sure a lot of people, whether it be media, fighters, friends, acquaintances who had respect for me might not have respect for me now. I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life that are way more of a punishment than what? I take a 30-day, 60-day absence? That's not a punishment to me. The punishment is that I did it, and now I have to deal with it. And more importantly, you guys know how I feel about other people's opinions of me, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again.
Again, I appreciate the fact that he has to be introspective here, but just because you live with something, that doesn't mean that you could say that to any criminal then, like, oh, you're going to have to live with the fact that you hit that person while drunk driving. No, you have to pay the consequences. You think everyone who, drives drunk and gets into an accident feels good about it? No, they don't. And they'll be labeled as such for the rest of their life. There's still consequences. Like, it's not just the feelings world that we're living in here. This idea that we're going to ask him to punish himself or want to know what he thinks the punishment is, or this justification that because I have to live with my actions, that's punishment enough, doesn't fly, because it doesn't fly in any society. That's not the society we live in. If I did something like that, I'd probably be fired from every job I have. So I'll have to live with it, but also face repercussions.
This is the main point that is important to bring up, because you see, fighters current and former called out what we all just saw as well. Dana White's response here was troubling, showing he is desperate to stay on and claim he is being punished enough when in reality he is not. And Stephen A. Smith, a man who went up on First Take and did not do his normal chastising of those in sports, rather performed a lukewarm analysis of White committing an act of domestic violence. Smith has a conflict of interest here. He is rep by Endeavor, which owns the Ultimate Fighting Championship. ESPN is also the exclusive rights holder of the UFC. White is doing exactly as Smith publicly announced 1 week ago. Punish yourself.
If it had been Roger Goodell or an owner of an NFL team, I imagine it would be covered with a great deal of zeal, even though ESPN is a corporate partner with the NFL. Because I don't believe there will be consequences for this, because there can't be consequences for it unless the level of outrage stays in a place. He's so powerful, so independent, and can even control, to a degree, the media monster with which he has a partnership.
Meanwhile, Endeavor CEO Ari Emanuel has been slammed by the California Legislative Women's Caucus for continued silence after a leaked video showed White striking his wife on New Year's Eve.
I mean, I said it before, and now I'm saying it after I've done it. You don't ever do it. Don't defend me. Don't anybody defend me. There's
But he also
there's
said,
no reason.
pause, please. He also said there's no coming back from it, and people have been reprimanded for it, and that's not happening here.
No, it's not. To reiterate, Dana White is holding on for dear life, and he is playing this angle of this entire equation to say, I have to deal with this the rest of my life. Isn't that enough? Isn't that enough punishment for me, even though I grabbed my wife's wrist, which forced her, according to the video, to retaliate, and then me to slap her back twice? I have to live with that regret. That's enough. And he's hoping to play that sympathy card. It is not enough. In the past, the Endeavor CEO has often staked out a moral high ground as he built the company, most recently calling on companies doing business with Kanye West to end their relationship with the rapper after an anti-Semitic rant. In 2010, he famously cut ties with WME client Mel Gibson after racist slurs. Your continued silence speaks volumes, the California senators noted before turning Mel Gibson and Kanye West critic Emmanuel's words on him. As he once wrote, silence and inaction are not an option. On Wednesday, White made a valiant effort to make it seem like he is the only person in 2023 who can steer the ship that is the UFC. That might have been the case in the early days, when the Fertittas were hemorrhaging money trying to keep things afloat. But today, there's no way that should be true, wrote Bloody Elbow. White's appearance at UFC Vegas 67 Media Day showed that the only punishment that would mean anything to him would be to remove him from the spotlight, to no longer promote him more than the UFC promotes its fighters.